What the heck?
We'll do it live. And think. We'll do it live. Do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
How much must I repeat? We only play for keeps. No timeouts, no free throws, no refs, no penalties, no handouts, no pit stops, no cheat codes, no sleep. But the drinks are on us. If you with it, then pull up a seat. When you roaming through the jungle, talk is nothing, talk is cheap. Time is money, money is power. Power corrupts eventually. Damn. So what are the options? What are the choices left for me?
And then we'll just, see what happens. You ready?
Wait. So we're just going to wing it?
Piper, there's a big difference between winging it and seeing what happens. Now let's see what happens.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to 2016 Educated Guesses, Episode 1. I am Spencer with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I am Nathan with Jacksonville Jaguars.
Travis, is my mic auto muting?
You're good.
You're good.
Okay, I'm Travis with the Buffalo Bills.
As you can see, we're still in off-season form, trying to get back into the swing of things. And Travis, your mic is auto muting.
That's what I thought. It's fucked up.
So we're still getting the swing of things.
Most of the video online, Spencer. They have not got it.
Who?
I'll do it. They didn't get the video link.
Well, we have 3 viewers, so I think we got some people.
Oh. Brad is complaining. I'll take care of him.
All right. Well, for those of you who aren't familiar with us, we are the Educated Guesses. We kind of like to do a casual show where we just kind of hang out and BS. We typically have guests on, especially once the season gets rolling. Just kind of have fun. I guess since some of you guys are newer, and aren't familiar with us, like I said, I'm Spencer with Pittsburgh Steelers. This is probably my 3rd year playing Dynasty. I'm in a couple leagues, but this is probably one of the more in-depth leagues that you're going to find. Played a little bit of fantasy basketball, a little bit of fantasy baseball, but nothing compared to football. Besides that, I live in South Dakota, if you know where that is. If not, you can look it up. And yeah, it's me.
You got maps, motherfuckers. Do your own work. All right. I'm, like I said earlier, Travis with the Buffalo Bills. I also currently live in South Dakota. It's my 2nd year of Dynasty, but I played fantasy for several years prior to that. I'm excited to get to actually draft my own team. I was one of the orphan franchise owners who took over in the 2nd year last year in the XFF. So I'm excited to actually give a shit about 80% of my roster. So it should be exciting.
Yeah, and I'm Nathan, and kind of similar situation. This 2nd year Dynasty, I kind of came into an orphan team in the league that shall not be named during Spence's 1st season in the league. But I've also played fantasy football. Few different venues and multiple leagues throughout the year. Was league champion over Spence and Travis in our little friends league this year, so they can suck it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of like Travis, not having to just take over an orphan team full of safeties, and Julius Thomas on an enormous contract, and kind of excited to actually see what what a team that I can build from scratch looks like.
Yeah, you had the safeties, and I had the quarterback market locked down.
Yeah.
like $16 million in shitty quarterback contracts. Ugh.
All right. Well, now that you know who we are, and obviously most of you guys are probably familiar with some of the other shows that are on Rippin' and Tearin'. I think Luke has come back. I don't know for sure. Do any of you guys know if Luke was on the
has he done the stats and spats?
Yeah.
No, but he's done he did the draft show.
Yeah.
He's been on other things, but he hasn't been on his stat and spats yet.
Okay. Well, and I guess Matt, I think, broke down kind of all the shows, but we're the one that has fun.
I'd say we were the top show in our last league, the top video show, for sure.
All around.
We've definitely had some individuals try to kind of step on our turf in IFL, and I guess instead of individuals, I should just say individual. With Matt, the Shipbird, El Raven, he kind of gave himself his self nickname, and he thinks he can do a live show. I beg to differ. It's one thing to just record your show and then edit all your mistakes and go from having no beer to a full beer, and getting away with wearing a tiny tee. It's another whole thing to do it live, and we do it week in, week out. So don't listen to Matt and his old man ways. We're the future.
Week in, week out, with the exception of a whole bunch of weeks out. Back to back.
We had to
right before this.
We had to make sure the show was top notch before we brought it back.
Yeah, that's true.
And we failed, but we're working on it. Like Nathan touched on, typically, especially during the season, we're making an every week show. I think we're still trying to find a home this season on what day of the week it would be. Preferably, I wouldn't like to go up against a Thursday night football game, but if we have to, we will. But there'll be more to come. Where were we going next? Oh, as far as the other quote-unquote video show, one show isn't a body of work. We can't even begin to have this conversation. We need to see a little bit more, and I know he puts a lot of time and effort into putting all his clips and stuff like that together.
Oh, can I stop you real quick? He may put a lot of time, but effort, let's be honest.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you could also say that there's no way in hell we'd do a pre-recorded show because none of us are going to spend the time editing, put it in clips.
If you heard on the intro, we kind of wing it, see how it goes.
We're about 50% talent of doing it live and 50% laziness of having no other option.
Mine's a little bit more skewed toward the later one, but
Yeah, I'm trying to give us some credit.
yeah.
So, moving on from that, if you guys haven't catch the latest episode of Rippin' and Tearin', I caught it this afternoon just because I know he got a little butthurt when I didn't say that I saw it. And one thing that I wanted to ask you guys is, obviously there's a little bit of an age difference between a lot of people in the league, and some of the things that make you feel old, or I should say, you're old when. I was putting this together in my head earlier. When you got to take like a daily multivitamin, And, like, your body parts just start hurting for no reason. When you got to pay a mortgage, and when you get all of Matt's references. That's how you know when you're old.
I watched it this weekend. I think it was a couple days after it came out. And I honestly, I had some of them I had no idea where he was going or what that was from, what the reference was. And the worst one, and we were talking about it prior to the show, was the damn helicopter that is apparently dry. I had never heard of that, and it looks like a show that I would never care to watch. And so I hope that it doesn't get put on my review tape, because I feel like I'm going to take a lot of naps during that one.
Yeah. I mean, there were a few references I didn't get. I didn't know most of the actors, but yeah.
And,
I mean, most of it was shit I haven't seen. Like, I recognize the actors, but I mean, I haven't seen the shows and the movies for the majority of them.
I think honestly, just like thinking about or trying to remember all the shows, it's tough to remember all of them that he put on. But I remember, I think on Saturday in my head, I was like, I think I may have only seen Lord of the Rings out of this whole group.
But I think that's enough airtime for Matt. Everybody gets enough time. I know the NFL Combine recently happened. I'm not sure if you guys paid attention, if you saw anything that jumped off at you, or what you even think the value of the Combine is. I've heard a lot of GMs and scouts and stuff like say it's pretty much all about the college tape, and the Combine is, if anything, to maybe make you take a second look at somebody you hadn't been already watching, but besides that, it's not that influential. Did you guys watch any of it? Follow any of it? Say any comments on it at all?
I mean, I've seen some results for some of the people, but it's mostly stuff that sticks out, like someone, not performing as well as they were expected to, or performing better than they expected to. But I'm not Al Davis, so just because somebody runs a really fast 40, I'm not like, spend everything. Like Keith Marshall's not going to be that good. Like, he's fast, but he's like, that's it. So, I mean, like you said, it doesn't really change a whole lot of what I already had thought about some prospects.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, plus there's still more, so.
Yeah, I think I've paid attention in past years a lot more than I did this year. I don't know if there's a specific reason why I didn't pay as much attention to it this year. But after kind of wrapped up and just kind of seeing the early results, early projections, there wasn't a ton that really stood out to me, like there has been in years past. But I'm kind of on the same page you are, Spence, is that a lot of stuff we already know is coming from the college tape, and the Combine's kind of, that extra little stat that we can use. But as far as like how it all translates to the field, a lot of that stuff isn't a good predictor on how the player actually will perform. I know that there's the exceptions, and sometimes it does kind of show kind of a freak athlete, but we've seen some freak athletes not pan out, like Joe Webb from the Vikings. Okay, I mean, just stats, galore, but it was just not an NFL quarterback. But he was a stat freak. He was a workout freak. So I try not to pay attention to that too much. I try and wait till the actual draft, and more along on where the player actually goes in the draft is what I kind of pay attention to, and who they go to.
Yeah. Do you guys put any thought or any stock in players who don't participate in certain drills, like treadmill, not running the 40?
Not really.
Well, I don't know. See, and I almost do a little bit. I can't remember if he had a reason why he didn't. but that almost tells me that maybe he's not as confident or he's not as much of a burner as people thought he might have been. I know he wasn't highly considered a burner, but I think had he run the 40 and it come back awful, his draft stock would have plummeted, and even if he kind of had a better 40 during pro day, probably wouldn't have saved him a whole lot. So now he's just got his pro day where he's got a little more time to train the 40, maybe get it more around the number he wants. So I'll be interested once his pro day hits and we kind of see where he's at. But right now I think he's hiding a potential flaw for us.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's smart of him to not run it because, like you said, people really don't. He's not like speed isn't his game really. So running it really only serves to hurt his draft stock because people will see his combine 40 number and be like, "Oh, that's super slow. Why are you so slow, Treadwell?" And then he's like, "I've always been this fucking fast, you morons." And then he falls into the second round and loses a bunch of money. So I think there's like no real benefit for him running the 40 at the combine. So I think you're right, Nathan. It just gives him a little bit more time to polish up on his 40 technique. Maybe get better off the line and shave a tenth of a second off.
Better off that line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Travis. I think, I guess that's not unanimous, but it's there's a lot of people saying that he could be the #1 wide receiver. So I don't think he's really doing himself any big favor by running the 40 or participating in some other drills. Teams know what they know, plenty of film on him. I just don't think it's going to change whoever's going to take a receiver right away is probably going to take Treadwell out, in my opinion. It's not like last year where Mariota and Winston, who's going to take who we knew that they were probably going to be 1 and 2. Where that one was a little bit more down to the wire. I'm not sure if the combine really affected any of that, but people sure thought it did.
Well, I will say, like, let's see here. I was trying to think of the name. I think it's a wide receiver out of TCU, Josh Doxson. Yeah, he actually helped himself quite a bit by participating in all the draft because I've seen him kind of skyrocket on a couple of boards. He kind of showed some people that even though he was a system player, he comes from a spread offense, and usually those guys are kind of not as highly touted because, again, their route running is not as polished. I think he showed people he's got some physical attributes that can't be overlooked. I know he didn't have the fastest 40, but he still ran a 4.5, if I remember correct. He did have, I think, one of the highest verticals, one of the highest broad jumps for the wide receiver class. And I think I've seen some comparisons between him, Allen Robinson, DeAndre Hopkins, and he fits right there as far as, almost height-wise, weight-wise, and just combine kind of measurements. So it's just a matter of can his college production translate to the NFL? Can he still be as productive? Because I know one thing that all the scouts kind of were high on him was that he goes up and gets the ball. Anytime there's a battle for the ball, he's going for it. And so I think that's where I see Treadwell hurting himself by not participating in some of those drills. Is you see a guy who wasn't as high. I know he was still higher on the wide receiver list, but wasn't as high. People were kind of doubting him again because of the system he was in, and he went out there and he showed all those, and so that kind of turned some heads, made some people kind of look into him a little bit more. So that's why I'm a little more skeptical on Treadwell not doing those drills.
I guess one of my concerns with Doxson is like he seems really, really light for his size.
Yeah.
Like he's barely over 200 pounds, and I think he's a good route runner. Like he's got a lot of like positive things for him, but he strikes me as one of those guys that unless he can put on some weight before he actually plays in the NFL, every time he goes up against a big physical corner, he's just going to get stuck at the line. like every time.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What
That
is
worries
your
me about it,
average
but
cornerback?
that's kind of off topic. So
What did you say, Spence? You kind of.
What does your average cornerback weigh?
well, I mean, the smaller ones obviously is probably on par with or maybe a little bit below, but I know there's some bigger ones. Guys like Xavier Rhodes, just because I know him off the top of my head.
Go for the Vikings players.
Well, I mean, just because I'm more familiar with them. But I mean, he's like 6'2", 225-ish.
The NFL average for a cornerback is 5'11", 193.4 pounds.
Okay, so he's barely above the average. So yeah, I mean, he's bigger than some of them, but there's definitely corners that are bigger than him.
Yeah.
I don't think I mentioned this. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, so that's why we're all kind of quoting Vikings players. Oh, see you, Trav.
Yeah, I guess we probably should have thrown that bias out beforehand. All three of us are Vikings fans. I am originally from Minnesota, and then Nathan lives there, and Travis is, I don't know, always from Southfield, I guess. But I forgot where we were going.
We were just Travis was knocking for not being not going to be able to battle with some of the cornerbacks, but we probably beat that to I mean, we don't need to get into the people yet, but I just was trying to give you guys an example of where I was coming from for Treadwell.
Yeah, Nathan, I had a question for you come to me via text, and somebody was asking if you lost a bet.
Did I lose a bet? No. I did have Jai did message me and asked what happened to the beard. I did shave my beard. I just go through periods where I grow my beard out, and then people who can't grow their beard, like Matt, get offended. And so I thought for our first show, I'd probably keep it trimmed up, keep it clean, but I will fluctuate between having a beard and not having a beard. But there was no bet lost. And even if there was a bet lost, I'd have no issue shaving. If you asked me to shave my head, I'd have a bigger problem.
Not that big of a deal.
So
Just let it go, man. Let the stresses leave you.
Well, shaving it every morning sucks, but
no bet lost.
Yeah, shaving every morning must suck. I do it like once a fucking week.
yeah, I'd shave mine every
When
day.
you win our fantasy football league, what bet would I lose? I won.
Okay, you're talking like you win every year. We're talking a redraft shit here. Here was the first like 5 years I didn't make the playoffs.
I make the playoffs every year.
I don't know that.
I have.
Okay, you say so. Anyway,
Just happy to get your first win under your belt.
yeah. Some other mailbag questions we got, and if anybody does want to send us some emails, it's educatedguessshow@gmail.com. How does it feel to get the gang back together? Well, I guess my thoughts is it's not too different since we talk on a semi-regular basis. We've had a group chat going on for like 2 years. And I drive all the time, so I usually end up calling these guys like at least once a week just because I'm driving for a long time and seeing what's going on. But I guess I haven't seen Travis in like 2 weeks. Saw Nathan last weekend, but I guess
We were-
Yeah, motherfuckers sending me like get like Twitter confirmation codes, and I'm like, no, I ain't giving you guys that shit. Absolutely
That
not.
was a long story. We don't need to get into that.
I personally am happy we're back together. I'm happy we're blessing the airways again. Airwaves, not airways. You know, I was looking forward to getting our show back in order. We kind of took a nice long break to kind of recoup after all that went down, and we wanted to make sure that we were pumping out a quality product and not just pumping out, you know, shit like the other people do. But I'm happy to be back. I mean, I shouldn't say other people. El Raven, the shipbird, like he pumps out on a semi-regular basis. But I was pretty excited when we finally nailed down our date that we were gonna get back on here and get the show up and running again. So.
Travis, how about you?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm excited for this league to start rolling, and you know, the ability to trade picks is obviously something to get the ball rolling, and a lot of people have been indulging because they need to scratch that itch. But I mean, a lot of people's strategies are already becoming apparent, so it's good to get information like that on the other GMs. I'm also excited for the free agent auction. That'll be pretty sweet. Gonna pull an all-nighter like I did last time. It'll be awesome.
Aren't they like 12-hour timers?
Yeah. You gotta be there for all 12 hours if you're a real GM, dude.
All right. I'm in the middle of a startup auction right now, and it's a fucking 24-hour timer, and it is brutal.
Yeah, that's too long, man. 24 is like...
It's not like we can nominate like 60-some people like we do in this league, I believe. It's a
How many do you nominate?
1 per person.
Oh my god.
It is horrible. I think we're over 2 weeks in, and the rosters are 50% filled.
That sounds miserable.
It was rough. It's only a 20-man roster.
Don't be talking about other leagues in here.
I'm just saying, I'm excited, and I'm getting my thumbs ready, my alarms, like wake up in the morning, first thing to do, check the auction board.
Hey, Nathan, how much money are you putting on Torrey Smith this time?
I will just, for the record, new GMs out there, do not use your cell phone or tablet to attempt to do the free agent auction. Only do computer, because the phone, doing it on the phone and the tablet screwed me twice last year. So just, here's your warning. Only use your computer.
Didn't you put like $12 million down on Torrey Smith or something?
I think it was like 13.
It was 15, I'm pretty sure.
I think I only ended up paying him like 7.
Yeah, because you tried to bid on like Alfred Morris or some shit.
I don't think I ever paid or ever played him, but he was there.
Yeah, the dangerous thing was telling us how much you bid, so I wanted to go in there and bid like 14.9.
He's such a dick move. Especially since you could see who did it.
Yeah. Well, if I were you, I would have gone on the chat and said, "Oh shit, I actually bid $16 million on Torrey Smith."
Yeah, that would have been. I thought about that. I remember talking about that, and that was a real ballsy move that I didn't know if I was willing to take.
Have somebody come in and drop 15 on it, and then they end up being the high bidder.
Yeah, that's a healthy dose of risk right there, though.
Oh man, but yeah, that's a good piece of advice. Anything else? Any other advice you want to give to newer owners?
New owners?
This is
Yeah. I want to give him a piece of advice. I want to give him a piece of advice. I know during the draft show they talked about it. Matt and Luke warned some of the newer guys to be wary of guys like Brad and Mark and Nils. You know, people that might try to fleece you a little bit on trades. And I just want to say, speaking from first-hand experience, I got the shorter end of a trade with Mark last year. Traded for Gerard Mayo. No, not that one. Oh yeah, it was that one actually. Yeah, D'Angelo Williams, who at the time was only going to play for one more game, so he's a 1-week fill-in, so it's not that bad. But traded away D'Angelo Williams for Gerard Mayo. Me fantasizing about his glory days of being a good player, and it wound up fucking me so bad, like I don't even get mayo on my sandwiches anymore. It's horrible. So just be careful.
Be careful. He fucking retired too.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm not gonna touch him anymore anyway. So
I hope you don't want to touch him anymore.
You don't know what I do. What?
How much you gonna drop on? Who was your boy from New York? God damn, this joke would have been a lot better if I remembered his name.
Or if you said
Oh.
anything that resembled a joke.
The running back.
Running back from New York.
Oh, David Wilson.
Who?
David Wilson.
Wilson. Damn.
Come on,
David
man. It's
Wilson
not my
got
fault.
to
He,
the
like,
first round like 3 years in a row.
it's not my fault he like broke his fucking neck.
All right. But I will second that advice, and then I think we need to like maybe move on from the advice topic because we're competitors now. We don't want to give them all our
Yeah.
pro tips.
Yeah, not too many free
Oh.
rides. So, just a couple of cautionary tales headed your way.
And
Okay.
I will second Travis. Watch out for those Sharks. Watch out for Brad. He really sold me on Von Miller going to be the next big thing, and Von Miller put up like the worst stats until the end of the season. So he got me there.
Super Bowl MVP.
What?
Super Bowl
Which-
MVP.
Which does
Yeah, I
zero
know.
good in this.
Which does zero for me.
Yeah, Brad's a
but
goddamn
also,
snake oil salesman.
I have to applaud him because the trade he pulled on Jason and Tennessee. Wow.
The longest
Jason.
con.
No, you should know better, Jason. Come on.
Oh wait, which one did he do with Jason? I probably saw it, but
He gave him, let me pull it up here. Miami gave up his 111 this year. Jason gave up his 205 this year. His second round next year, his third round next year, his fourth round next year, and his fifth round next year.
Jesus, Jason gonna be here next year?
holy shit. Damn, it seems my warning was too late. Fuck, that is hefty. That is a big trade.
Apparently Jason sent him that one, so
Didn't he only moved up like 8 spots or something?
Jason, you never sent me one of those trades. You're trying to, yeah, come
He's
on.
got nothing left now, though.
Yeah.
Gives it to Brad, who's notorious.
The only trade offers I've gotten have been like, hey, you want to give up your 106 for a 567? No.
I've got a lot of.
No, I don't.
I'm not gonna say names, but it's Houston.
Peru?
These new guys, they're trying to figure out the value of draft picks.
Houston is the next Big Al. Just terrible trades. So, what is there any parts of that more of that question before we just kind of get on our rant again?
Who's our early division winners? I would
Right.
say probably Brad, since he fucking bent Jason over. But beyond that, pretty
Brad's
even
been
shit.
everybody over. Brad's made a ton of trades.
Well, the thing is, Brad and Jason's trade was mostly for like benefit for him next year. So,
No one-
well, yeah, but the thing is, who wins the division this year? Like those
Brad.
draft picks don't do him any good.
Brad.
All right, that's reasonable, so long as you take into account the fact that trade had like little to no bearing on this year.
I'm gonna say
first 3 seconds, 2/3, 2/4, 2/5, 6/7.
For what? Next year?
Oh, sorry, that's next year. My bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say this year he's got
Yeah.
2. What?
I was gonna say in your division, I think it's gonna be between you and Brad. Mark is gonna fall. He's tumbling. He's gonna fall, and Aaron is non-existent, so he's not relevant to this league. So I think it's gonna be between you and Brad for divisional.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think it's interesting. Like you can start to see these guys who have been trading picks. You can see what their strategy is going to be for this year. And Brad, he's got the first overall, and then he's got 205. And then he doesn't have another pick till the 16th pick at the end of the 5th round. Whereas Mark, all of his trades, he's moved down out of the first, but he's got 206, 216, 306, 316, 401, 411. So he's got a lot more of those like mid-tier picks.
And I think, honestly, the way Mark focuses on IDP, and he's seen the lack of offensive talent, he's trying to get in that range where it's acceptable to spend those picks on IDP players and not on offensive talent. So, Mark, we see you. We know what you're about.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Mark spend a huge chunk of change on offensive players in the free agent auction.
Watch him drop. How much money do you think he's going to spend to try and get Amari Cooper? That's a question.
I don't know.
20 mil?
Oh, fuck no. No, with the scoring changes and evening out the offensive skill positions, I think the average contract is going to go way down. I think the days of the like the $30 million contract for like AP last year, I think those are gone. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to see a lot more equalized contracts all across the board for the skill positions.
So Kansas City Kurt isn't going to be spending $24 million on Jamal Charles.
He might. It's Kansas City Kurt. I don't know what the fuck he's going to do.
He has Jamal Charles for what? $20 million. Drops him, then signs him for $24 million.
No, he had him for like 16.
Oh yeah,
For like 16 or 18 or something.
And
So
then-
double dip into the old coffer.
The other part of the question from one of our mailboxes was, and I think this is more geared towards Travis and I, since we both we're starting clean slates. But they wanted to know how our strategy is going to differ this year from it did in the past.
Hey, you want to go first or you want me to?
You can go first. I read the question.
All right, fair enough. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot different. The way it works when you take over a roster is you kind of have to like just assess whatever weaknesses you can. If you have players that you don't like but have maybe either name recognition or they have some trade value, you can try to move those guys. But it's really difficult, and I know especially personally the roster that I got, it didn't have much for trade value on it. So I was kind of just forced to go the slow rebuild route and kind of just wait for those contracts that I didn't like to, fall off, or I could cut people, which I did with a few different players. But it's a totally different situation than building from scratch, because you're dealing with what somebody else did, and your options are far more limited than just completely building from scratch. And and it's also kind of like it's an easy excuse to make, to just blame it on the previous owner.
Blame it on the alcohol, baby.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's good to have that accountability. So I'm happy that I'm going to get to build my own roster, because then if I fuck it up, it's my own fault, and I don't have anybody to blame. So.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in the same boat you are. Is like, again, I walked into a terrible franchise. I improved it slightly. I had a better record than I did the previous year, but it still wasn't my team. It wasn't who I wanted, and so it was constantly trying to. You're in a state of, okay, what kind of value can I get from these players that people don't value as much as me? Is it worth dumping those players for just whatever I can get? Where now it's kind of like, okay, what did I envision my team eventually becoming, and how can I start that off now, right from the get-go, and then assess year one, and kind of see how it went. Do I need to reassess my strategy? And one piece of advice I can give the new owners is, don't ever get stagnant. Don't ever sit there and not be assessing your options, not be assessing your team, because the moment you become stagnant, you become irrelevant in the league, and you'll just fall backwards. And you can take that from some of the top owners in Mark and Brad, and sad to say it, but El Raven, they all were making moves all year round, and they're always looking for that one extra piece that's going to get them over the edge. So always constantly be evaluating. I wouldn't say completely change your strategy from week to week, but go in with this year with kind of a basic plan of what you want to do, and try and stick with it until it fails.
Just a quick addition onto that. I completely agree with you right there, Nate. The guys who get stagnant get left behind. Look at the Jets. He didn't do anything, and he was completely useless. Especially right after winning the Super Bowl. So It just shows you how far you can fall and how fast. But just a quick side note, that doesn't mean you have to be trading all the time. It just means, be aware of your situation. A lot of times trading is the answer, but a lot of times it's just, knowing where you're at and what your options are.
Spence, you got a different strategy going in this year. I know Hell Raven gave you, tried to give you his traditional verbal fisting, which he fails at miserably.
I was somewhat in a similar boat as you guys, digging myself out. Unfortunately, it was a hole that I dug myself. But I was in a similar mindset in previous times where I was selling off what I could, dumping caps. And for those who criticized my record last year, that's fine. It was a horrible record. It's a horrible team, but I also had like $30+ million in cap penalties from me cutting players. I'd acquired a ton of picks, but that's in the past. It doesn't matter. There was a method behind the madness, is what I'm trying to say. And I was also digging myself out from a pretty big hole. It was that was my first Dynasty League in general, and that was a pretty big step to take into first Dynasty League opening draft. Yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to a little bit more experience under the belt and seeing what we can do.
I got one question for you, just because I was in on the draft show, but then wasn't because I had other fulfillments that I had to take care of.
I'll go with obligations.
Obligations, sure. So I had other obligations I had to take care of. But I did catch the portion of, I caught mainly the entire AFC draft lottery pick. And once again, your boy...
You want this, Nate?
Sure. Once again, your boy Luke, a.k.a. the pig guy.
That name's going to stick, probably.
Pig guy. He calls you out again, and he's been one of your biggest critics. And I just want to know, how do you respond to Luke? Because it seems like every year he wants to get rid of you.
Let him try. That's fine. Like I said, last year is what it was. It's a different league. It's a different everything. We'll see this year. I mean, every year he puts together a good team. I don't know what his hate for me is, but like I said in the chat earlier, his hate only makes me stronger.
I think he's got a secret man crush on you, is what it is. It's the bald head.
It could be.
It reminds him
of
something from a show that was long forgotten and was deleted from the internet. That just nice bald head of yours really gets him going.
Whatever floats your boat, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Luke just likes to be mad, I think.
He's a bitter man.
Yeah. He loves the anger. It fuels him.
We got any other questions from the mailbag?
I didn't see any else in the mailbag.
Letting us down, folks.
One thing that I wanted to ask everybody is, if anybody has gone to the NFL draft and knows how to get tickets, let me know. Because I would like to go to day 2 if anybody can tell me how and where to get tickets. Not sure if it's like a lottery thing or you have to register for them or what the deal is, but I couldn't really seem to find them online. I'm going to be in that area that weekend, so I'd like to go to day 2. Just throwing that out there.
You should just dress up in Jets gear and just stand with the Jets fans and boo every Jets pick, because that seems like the best fucking thing ever.
That's my Jets gear.
Yeah, true. That would be unfortunate.
Well, we all have
to shop for Salvation Army and get like some old Joe Namath stuff.
There you go.
Apparently John goes every year, Brad says. I did not know that. I thought John only went the 1 year. And he's got his new show coming out, The War Factory. how do you guys feel about that? John came from the other league, and he had the show, the Win and You're In show. However, he always seemed to not be winning and not being in to where he wanted to be. So, what do you guys think his new show is going to be about? What's going to be his goal this year?
It's going to be a very interesting name. It's very intense.
Have you seen the logo? His logo is pretty intense.
Is it?
Probably kudos to Brad.
Yeah.
Brad, if you want to hook us up with a better logo than ours, that's a Word document logo.
Yeah, what's wrong with ours, man?
Well, I mean, he could spice it up a little bit, but
Ours is like it's got a homey feel to it, you know. It's like
I think we're
handmade.
like 20 episodes in or something. We got some experience. We're here. Time to get us a new logo.
Alright.
I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, his show with a name like that, it sounds pretty intense.
please look at the camera.
Intense guy, so I guess it fits.
Spence, I know you're about 8 whiskeys in, but when you're talking, talk towards the camera.
Sorry, I'm on my Surface up here, my tablet down here, so I'm reading the chat down here, and I only got about probably another 2-3 weeks, hopefully, before I'm down in my setup. My office will be finished, and I can get out of this room, and it'll all be perfect, and we won't have to worry about it.
Good deal.
So,
That was way up on my list of actual worries. So
well, worry no longer, Travis. It's coming.
all right, good. That brings me comfort.
I'm glad.
All right. So we're out of questions. I could have swore that Jai sent us one.
He did. I was reading them. I think he asked, how's our strategy going to differ? We talked about that one. Who do you think will have the better team after the auction? I don't know if it's directed between us three. He did ask between the three of us who finishes the season with the best record. I think that's tough to really.
It's hard to say without seeing any players for anyone yet. So
Yeah.
I mean, obviously on the poll I voted for myself because I'm an asshole. So
I voted for myself, and just because I saw Travis voted for himself. But
And that vote for
Spencer
Travis starts
took
some shit.
Tyra and picked Travis over me, which I'm a little bitter about.
That was the goal.
I don't know why. He's in a way tougher. He's got way tougher opponents than I do.
I'm gonna have them quality losses.
I got 2 new guys. And granted, I don't know either of them, but
Yeah, maybe those 2 new guys are like just fucking hound dogs. They're just gonna run you down.
I don't know. Only time will tell. But I don't. If I had to guess, it's gonna be me. I mean, that's just my guess.
We're just pulling shit out of the air at this point. You know, we have the
Oh, yeah.
player.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of just empty talking shit right now. So
Yeah,
I think the more interesting question is who's going to have the better team after the auction, because I think our strategies differ pretty wildly during the auctions.
You don't know what my strategy is.
Can I just interrupt that last question before we move on to that, Travis? Because I just got a very interesting question via message.
Mm-hmm.
It's worded this way. Obviously, the chemistry is high between the 3 of you, but honestly, who's the third wheel?
Probably me. It's probably me, honestly.
How would it be you?
Because you guys like went to high school and shit together, and
You two are cousins.
well, yeah, but I mean, like I was, we were friends when we were growing up, but then he moved away, and so I mean, we were still close, but it wasn't like hang out every day close. And then we all went to college, and then we all lived together, so it didn't really matter at that point. And now we all live in different towns, so it's hard to say.
Huh. I honestly think, I don't know if there is like a true third wheel. That's a really tough question. Just because, yeah, we're all very close. We all went to college together. Like Travis said, him and I are pretty close. We're family, but we were obviously pretty close growing up, pretty similar age. And then Spencer and I went to high school together, or middle school, high school together, roomed together right away in college. So, but honestly, I mean, until we moved apart, I don't think we did much.
But then you moved, and then Travis and I both lived in the same house.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we did live together for another year or so after that.
What am I, the third wheel then?
No, I was just
No, he's elaborating on it's hard to choose a third wheel.
It is.
Because obviously at family functions, Spencer's going to be the third wheel.
Yeah, although Spencer is technically
so.
somehow family.
Also, that's probably not even true. Like, my grandparents would be like, yeah, that's fine, Spencer can come. So,
I do a lot of Christmases, or not Christmases, but Thanksgivings and Easters. And
yeah, I don't know. I guess there's probably not really a third wheel.
That's a tough question,
or
whoever.
a fucking tricycle. Oh.
All right, what was your question now, Trav? Sorry to interrupt.
I don't even remember. I got too hung up on the third wheel thing. It was the free agent auction. You know, who has a better team after the auction. But also, I guess, it's for the whole fucking team, basically. The whole team you're drafting. So that's harder to say. I don't know. I think Spencer will, honestly.
I mean, I agree with your point. We all have very different philosophies. I think we've spent enough time talking to each other on the phone and in person. But we all have very different philosophies in the strategy we're going to go with and how we kind of want to build our teams. And even when we were in the other league, you know, how we wanted to rebuild, who we were targeting. I think we all have different players that we've kind of, you know, clung to in fantasy in years past. And I think that will kind of show I mean, obviously there's a lot more teams, but it will show in our auction strategy and our draft strategy.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Spencer and his tendency to super plan for a bunch of shit like this, really in-depth analysis of who he wants and how much he'll spend on them and when he wants to get them and all sorts of shit like that. Plus, he has the benefit of having done one of these before.
True.
And made mistakes that he knows that he's learned from. So I think he has the upper hand going into the free agency auction. I'll probably get too hung up trying to get value picks.
Yeah.
And fuck up and miss people that I want, but yeah. So I guess I would have to say Spencer, but
I will say Spencer probably has the edge on us, but I don't know. I think we all had. I mean, even in our last auction draft, free agent auction draft, we all had completely different strategies, and it really showed. I do have one other question, and this one's directed strictly at Travis. It's worded, Travis, what is the favorite book on that sick ass shelf behind you?
Do this.
And they want to know, have you read them all, or are they all just for show?
Well, they're not real. It's just a wallpaper border of books. And it's only 6 books or 7 books before it repeats. So yes, I have technically read them all because I read the titles on it. Let me see real quick which one's my favorite. We got All That Shit Sucks. The dictionary's in there. We'll go with that one. Yeah, we'll go with the dictionary.
That's great. You always get harped on for that bookshelf.
I know. Let me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 15 before it repeats.
Fancy.
So, yeah.
Son.
Dude, I got real books over here. I got a thesaurus that I tried to pawn off on you earlier. But yeah, no, it is difficult to read the books behind me. They offer very little in terms of substance.
All right. I know our goal was try to keep these things around an hour, especially this early in the season, and we don't want to bore people to death. Um, anything else you guys wanted to knock out before the week's over?
I just want to get, again, to the new people and even the old league members. Please do not listen or buy into a single word that Matt says. Honestly, the guy speaks from his ass 99% of the time, and can't be trusted. So just be wary of what is actually coming from his mouth. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Also, the question to our preliminary or our early division winners, we only did like 2.
That's fine.
Nobody has a fucking team.
Well,
Yeah, that's true. I guess we'd be basing it solely on GM skill, and there's a bunch of new GMs, so it's hard to judge them.
And it's perceived skill. I mean, somebody could draft a team of fucking people who retire. I mean, it's all relative at this point.
David Wilson, come back. Unretired. All right, yeah, that's a good point. I think we should wait until at least the auction to do that.
Yeah.
Oops.
What's going on there?
I'm just gonna play the intro we had for our outro this week. I'm just letting the viewers know that this is not our season-long intro or outro. Those are both still work in progresses. But I think everybody needs to see the beauty behind this video. This is a true masterpiece, and I think it just needs its appropriate time on the air. So I was just priming it up. I was getting ready to go.
Just as we hit 4 viewers. Run it down.
They get to witness the beauty.
We hit 4 viewers. That's it.
Dude, I guess I think we've had 6 before as our top for live viewers.
Dude, do we count?
5!
Do we count? Are we 3 of the 5?
Somebody tuned in for the last 3 minutes of the show.
Are we 60% of the viewers, or are those unique?
No, we do not count, Travis.
Ah, shit.
For most of the show, we were at 2.
Host lives matter, man.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be back next week or the week after. We're still working on an off-season schedule, but definitely during the season we'll be on every week. Still trying to work out a date, but obviously if you keep up on the boards, you'll see when our show is going to be on. Everything's recorded. It's all on YouTube. Anything else you wanted to add before we play this outro? Watching the fights this weekend, big fights?
Nope. Zero interest in the fights.
I'm usually not that interested, but that was pretty cool this weekend. But
you were really interested when Ronda Rousey was good, and it kind of got your wife got kind of like defensive about it.
I was just thinking, like, how is this one person just destroying an entire division? It was not.
I was very concerned why all of a sudden you had like a sudden interest in Ronda Rousey.
I didn't even watch it. I was just looking on my phone to see who won.
Ronda Rousey.
That's back when I was doing the ESPN Streak to the Cash or whatever it is, where you try to pick all those like winners and losers, and if you get like 30-something in a row, which is very difficult, you win some money. And that's when I was doing those, and because I had put like an 18 streak win on the line for that one, and that won. But that was the whole reasoning behind me keep checking my phone for it. But anyway.
Sorry, bro.
Anything else? Basketball, you guys watch any of that?
Saw Steph Curry hit that ridiculous 3-pointer.
I guess I do have one thing, and we got spring practices rolling out for baseball here. We got spring training, I guess, coming out. So I'm really excited to watch Ioannis just tear it up and just see how Ioannis does this year. I think this will be a telling year for Yoenis, and just to see how much Yoenis can really handle. So.
Yeah. Well, on that note,
Travis has no idea.
I don't watch baseball, but I can tell it's on the level of like making Uranus jokes in middle school. So
no way, man.
You've never heard of
yeah,
Yoenis?
I understand that Yoenis is not the same word as Uranus, but they're carbon copy jokes of each other. So
let's play that outro and get out of here.
All right, I'll screen share.
all right, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll do it live. See? We'll do it live. Do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
How much must I repeat? We only play for keeps. No timeouts, no free throws, no refs, no penalties, no handouts, no pit stops, no cheat codes, no sleep. But the drinks are on us. If you with it, then pull up a seat. When you roaming through the jungle, talk is nothing, talk is cheap. Time is money, money is power. Power corrupts eventually. Damn. So what are the options? What are the choices left for me?
And then we'll just, see what happens. You ready?
Wait. So we're just going to wing it?
Piper, there's a big difference between winging it and seeing what happens. Now let's see what happens.